in for a few moments to wish you a blessed week and to also put something on your minds and hearts for you to think about this week. And the thing that I want to talk to you about today is treatment resistant anxiety. Do you have, or do you know someone who may have treatment resistant anxiety? What do I mean by that? Treatment resistant anxiety typically means that you've tried at least a couple different types of treatment, typically a couple different types of medication to treat your anxiety, and it just will not seem to go away. So it might be considered treatment resistant because we've tried several types of treatment and nothing is changing. Now, there may be several reasons why the anxiety that you're experiencing is resistant to treatment. One of them could be that the diagnosis is wrong, that you either don't have anxiety, it could be something more like ADHD or something along that same family, or there's more than one diagnosis, so we're only treating one, so the other symptoms of something else pops up because you have two diagnoses, but we're only treating one, so it doesn't seem to be the treatment doesn't seem to be as effective as it should. There are other reasons like medical conditions. Sometimes, if you have an underlying medical condition that is causing the anxiety, no matter what we do to treat the anxiety on the mental health end, if there's a medical condition causing it, we're not going to be able to get the results that we're looking at or looking for. So there are a lot of different reasons why anxiety that you're experiencing could be treatment resistant. Now, again, I'm saying treatment resistant anxiety. So that means you had to have had some type of treatment before you can consider the anxiety that you're experiencing resistant. Some of you are out there experiencing anxiety and you haven't had any treatment. So I am not talking to you if you have not had any therapy, if you have not tried any medication or anything, if you have not had any treatment, I am not talking to you. You just have anxiety that you need to get a handle on. So find someone who can help you work through some of the symptoms of anxiety, because the majority of anxiety, I would say, is not treatment resistant. That's why I'm talking about this today, because if the anxiety that you have is resistant to treatment, there is something going on and you need to go back and find out what is going on. So, find out if you're okay medically, find out if there's an underlying medical condition. If there is, treat the medical condition, and the symptoms of the anxiety will likely start to decrease, if not dissipate altogether. If there is not a medical condition, maybe go back to your mental health provider or get a second opinion from a different mental health provider to make sure that the diagnosis that you are being treated for is accurate. We're not perfect as professionals, so we can get the diagnosis wrong. So if your diagnosis is incorrect or incomplete, that could be the cause of the treatment resistance. Okay, so now I'm going to switch over. Although there are many, many reasons why anxiety could be resisting treatment, I am going to switch over right now because I am specifically talking to believers and followers of Christ. If you are a believer, follower of Christ, and the anxiety that you are experiencing is resistant to treatment, now we might need to look at a spiritual element. Okay. So it's not that just because you're a believer, it doesn't mean that there's not an underlying medical condition or that we've gotten the diagnosis wrong. You can have all of those things as well. But there is something that we need to look at with you where other people could also be and likely are also experiencing, but because they don't believe, we can't talk to them about it. And that is the spiritual element. The spiritual access to anxiety is a spirit of fear. So if the anxiety that you are experiencing actually has a root based in the spirit of fear, it will be resistant to any treatment that we try to do in the physical realm. It does not mean that you don't go to therapy. It does not mean that you do not take the medication. Please go to therapy. Please take the medication. But there is also, this is an and situation. Do the things, do the physical things, and let's look at this from a spiritual perspective. And most people, when I start talking this way, they automatically assume that I am talking about that they have sin in their life. So they want to reject what I'm saying. This might not be a matter of sin. This might be a matter of spiritual demonic forces coming against you. Doesn't mean that you've done anything. This is just the world that we live in. We are spiritual beings. Whether you believe that or not, doesn't matter. It's still true. Okay. So this is not that maybe that you've done anything wrong, but you could have. You could have opened a door. But this is not necessarily to blame you, to say that you're doing something so wrong in your life that now this thing is after you and it will not disappear. I don't want you to take that stance. I want you to hear me and hear my heart. If this is a spirit of fear, this is something in the spiritual realm that is demonic, that is crouching at your door and trying to come after you. So, no matter what you do in the physical, if this is a spiritual issue, we have to deal with it there. Now, typically, I do not deal with this in the realm when I am counseling people on a regular basis because this type of thing scares people, and I get it. But because this is my live, this is my YouTube channel, I can talk to you about it. So if you have been experiencing anxiety that has been resistant to treatment, you've tried therapy, you've tried medication on more than one occasion, and the anxiety that you are experiencing just will not seem to go away, we now need to look at it in the spiritual realm. It may be something that's generational in your line. Like for me, on both sides of my family, there is anxiety that is lurking on both sides of the family. What it looks like in the physical is addiction. So you think, oh, they're just addicted to alcohol. Oh, they're just addicted to gambling. And yes, they are. But those are actually symptoms of the underlying anxiety and an even deeper root of a spirit of fear. I have some people in my family who are simply afraid of everything. They will not do anything because everything scares them. That is a spirit of fear. There is no reason that you should be afraid of everything. Okay, so sometimes there is a deeper root issue, and the deeper root issue, when there's treatment resistant anxiety, could be a spirit of fear. This is not the same thing for everyone, but this is just another avenue to look at if you are experiencing what we would call treatment resistant anxiety. There could be generational things going in your family, but the thing is, you can't go back and blame anybody in your family. This is going to start with you. You need to find out what this thing is and break up with it. Often there have been agreements, there have been covenants made with these spirits, and you don't have to be in this bondage for the rest of your life. You can break up with this thing if, in fact, this is what you're dealing with. Again, not everyone is going to be dealing with this same thing. Not everyone is going to even believe what I'm talking about. Lots of people will think I have lost my mind because I'm talking about spirits and I'm a mental health professional. Well, remember, I am also a follower of Christ. Actually, I am a follower of Christ first. Secondly, I am a therapist. So I understand that there are times when we have to deal with the spiritual realm because it can't be handled in the physical. So if I am speaking to you, if you are a person who has been dealing with anxiety that seems to be resistant to any type of treatment, I am not talking to you if you haven't even tried anything yet. And don't get me wrong, if you live in America and if you probably live anywhere else in the world, there are lots and lots of things that are going on in our world that would cause anyone to be anxious and to have a battle with anxiety. Texas is flooding. There are tornadoes. There are earthquakes. There are all those things that are going on in the world that would cause us to have some anxiety going on. But also, if you are a believer, if you are a follower of Christ, you already know that the word talks about these things. So you want to think about these things and what they mean in the spiritual realm, especially if you are experiencing anxiety that no matter what you do in the physical, it just seems to not go away. Guys, please get whatever help you need. If that's a therapist, if that's a psychiatrist, if that's a pastor, whatever you need, get what you need so that you can get the help you need. You do not have to live with this struggle every day of your life. This is a battle that you do not have to live with. Come out of agreement with it. You do not need to live with anxiety. Sure, we will have moments and patches of anxiety or nervousness or whatever, but this should not be a constant in your life. You do not have to live with anxiety as a constant in your life. Find the help that you need, whatever help that is. Okay, that's all I have for you guys this week. I wish you a wonderfully blessed week. I will be back soon with more, but until then, be proactive about your mental health. Be well, and God bless.